Hello everybody and welcome to the Vanguard of Light. I'm Fracka Future and we got a good one today. Okay, so one simple mistake that is destroying your certainty. Let's get into it. So what is that mistake? So pretty much, very simply, that mistake is putting questing or desiring certainty from things that are uncertain, to going after things that aren't certain, or wanting things that are inherently uncertain, but wanting to get certainty from them. And it's just doomed to failure, especially on a spiritual level, because your spirit's like, yeah, we don't get certainty from there. So it's always going to be like this kind of push-pull, I want to get certainty, but then your spirit's going to be like, no. So you don't have a line, your spirit's not aligned with you, because your spirit's like, you're looking in the wrong direction. You're going east, trying to get to California. Something like that. So let's give an example. So say you want certainty, you want, kind of certainty and this kind of that security, safety, but you're looking in the wrong places for that. A lot of times, big one for people is relationship. They want certainty from their relationships. They want certainty from their partner. They want certainty from their friends. They want you want certainty, or you want certainty in your job, or you want certainty in your country, or you want certainty in your in your future. You want the certainty, but it's based on changing things. Relationships, you gotta look at relationships are for growth. They're not for certainty. They're for variety. They're, your job, your career, that's also for growth. That's a questing for growth. Your friends, the joy comes from the growth, the connection, but not certainty. Certainty, you don't get certainty there. So it's okay, where do we get certainty from? So when you're wanting to have certainty, is you want to base it on certain things. One really good one and a good practice to help build that certainty is the sun rising and the sun setting. If you feel uncertain, kind of there's this thing, okay, wait, is the sun going to set tonight? You can be like, yeah, it is. Yep, sun setting. And even actually paying attention to and seeing, and it might seem oh, this wouldn't help. No, this is really powerful, is actually look up when the sun sets and start getting reconnected and either going out watching the sunset, or just even noticing okay, sun's going to set, and even telling yourself, okay, sun's going to set tonight, right? And the same thing, after it gets dark, notice when sun's going to come up and be sun's going to come up tomorrow. Yep. Sun's going to start reconnecting that certainty of oh yeah, the sun's coming up tomorrow. And yes, there's a chance the sun doesn't come up, but guess what? That won't matter. Everything that you know in your life will not matter if the sun doesn't come up. So, and it's one of those certain things. It's pretty much as guaranteed as it's going to get, is that the sun's going to be rising, and at a set time. When it is. It's not going to be late. It's not going to be an hour late where you're oh, where's the sun? No, it's like clockwork. The sun's going to come up, the sun's going to set. The moon's going to rise, the moon's going to set. So those are great things where if you're feeling certainty, that's a real tangible one where you can look it up and just kind of think I want certainty. Okay, let me put my certainty that the sun's going to come up and the sun's going to set. And then from relationships, be oh, that's going to be where I'm going to get variety. I'm going to get excitement. I'm going to get newness, what's going to happen, what's the change, and allow, because it's inherently going to change. There's inherently growth, as us being or spiritual beings, even physical beings, we're constantly in a state of change. So depending on a physical being or a physical reality not to change, it's going to change. There's certain things that are set in motion that are pretty consistent for a really long time. And that would be the sun coming up, sun going down. Another good one to break out of even the physical, but the physical is a really good one to start if you've got certainty, if you're really connected to hey, I want these relationships, I want this wealth, and that's where you're getting your certainty from or wishing to, but you're inherently not feeling good about that. It's really good to go with the sun rising and setting, because it's such a dramatic change. People don't really think about that, but it's a big difference between light times and dark times. There's a lot of different things that you can do when the sun is up, and there's a lot of things you can't do when the sun's down. And it completely changes how you function. We live in a world, especially if you're in a city, where there's just a lot of bright lights all the time. But if you ever get out in the country, out in nature where there aren't lights, it's pretty significant when the sun goes down. It's a game changer. You know, you might have a flashlight with you, but if you don't, it's a game changer. It's a completely different world. And that's happening every day. So getting reconnected to that and having that certainty of the sun's coming up, the sun's coming down. Another one, that's another good one, is obviously connection to source. And that's kind of where, like, your spirit gives you that push-pull and you want to, you know, have that certainty in a relationship, and your spirit's like, ooh, your spirit wants you to have certainty in source. You know, certainty in God, certainty source, certainty in the universe, and that one's a constant. Even more constant, that's the thing of like really get it. Like first get the sun, right? Sun's really unlikely to go away anytime soon. We got a long time with the sun. But even more certain than the sun is God, is the universe, is source. That's even more certain than the sun, way more. So you can take that once you get really that, hey, sun goes up and down. It's a significant change for the planet. But man, that's not changing. But wow, source, that's really not changing. That's something I can, you know, hang my hat on of like, you know, my connection to God, my, you know, love for God, my love for source, my love for universe, whatever words you want to use. But that's where you want to build your certainty. That's where you want to, because that survives death. You know, even the sun's going to come up and down even after we're gone. It doesn't depend on us. It doesn't bring us up. But like, hey, are you passing on? Because if you're passing on, I think I'm not going to come up today. It doesn't matter. Like, nations can rise and fall. Sun is going to still be like clockwork. And source even more so. I mean, source is what's creating the sun to be like clockwork. So that's a super great place to get certainty is with your creator. And like really be like, okay, that's where I get certainty. Not my relationships. I don't need to get it from my relationships. That's why I get my variety. Fill up certainty with source. And the good pathway to that, you know, the great pathway to that is the sun exercise. Because it's so physical, so tangible, right? Because source could it's very non-physical, non-tangible. So that's kind of the lead way in to get to that deep connection. So what also will help you with that is this safety course that I've created, and it's links in the description. It is free. It uses my company I have is called Vibration Shift, and there's a technology called warp gates. You'll see there's a video somewhere in here that we'll talk a little bit about that story. But anyway, it's super easy. Like, you don't need any special skills to activate the warp gate and get the clearings. And what it's fundamentally doing is changing how we get safety. Because a lot of times we also come in, our being gets inverted, and we're using kind of similar way we're getting certainty. Like when you try to get certainty from a relationship that's inherently changing, not a good place. It's the same way of getting safety, of like connecting out to these physical beings and being like, hey, am I safe? Am I safe? And it's this constant asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Is it safe to have this? Is it safe to have that? Is it safe? And it's about breaking those chains and reconnecting of like, those are questions for source, you know? Those are determined by source. And it's kind of like, hey, source, how's my safety doing? And especially on a spiritual level, then it's like you're inherently safe. Like your soul, like the thing that you think is you, that's animating this physical body, not the physical body, will leave if there was danger, you know? And that's one of the techniques in the course, is just being like, you know, my soul is here, I am safe. My soul is here, I am safe. My soul is here, I am safe. And you breathe into your heart chakra. And that just helps ground you into a spiritual truth of like, your soul is safe. And if for whatever reason there's something with this physical body, it's no longer time for it to be here, it will go. You know, it will go and get, you know, go where it goes. We'll leave that for another topic. But anyway, so that of like getting that connection, like starting to build, like it breaks those chains of where we're connected to this physical world, and also just really connects to other spiritual beings that inverted, and kind of inverting like they did, and then always referencing them, whether it's like, oh, is it safe? Am I safe? Is it safe that I can feel safe? You know, is it safe to love? Is it safe to matter? And all those are gifts that, you know, God gave us. You know, we came in, you know, we weren't put here by our parents. Our parents might have decided to have a baby, maybe didn't decide to have a baby, maybe didn't want to have a baby. But what happened, the reality, is they had a baby, but they definitely did not choose the soul that went into that baby, which is you, which is all that you feel is you. That's your soul. That was done by a higher power. And that higher power had a very specific reason to put you here. So you very much matter, and you're very much worthy to be here because you were put here by God. So who is there to, who of all these physical beings is to contradict what God says? Because the reality is you're here, and God put you here. So there's obviously a reason from a higher power. And you're inherently lovable. Also a gift from God. Is like, no, God loves you. God put you here. You matter. You're worthy. And that's like kind of, but we don't necessarily get that physically deep in our body of like, no, I inherently matter. Because that's a general universal struggle of like feeling like you're not enough. You don't matter. Or I'm not lovable. Or will I get love, right? And that's kind of this, same way with the certainty of like just connecting in the wrong place of like, wait a second, I got to break those chains, break that illusion, and start reconnecting to source and what was, divinely given to me when I came in. So check out the safety course. Like I said, it's free and it is pretty powerful actually. So, and it's awesome and it's super simple. No special skills. That it actually takes an amazing amount of special, unique abilities that you have as a human listening to this already have. And that's what awakens you to. So no special abilities that you don't know about right now. You think they're all there. And that's what kind of wakes you up to like, wait a second, it's this easy and I get this much change? Who did that? You did that. So I invite you to try out the adventure. If you like the video, hit the like button. I think it helps. That's what I'm told. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be releasing videos hopefully every day of cool new topics. So until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.